Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey guys, welcome to July's highlights. If you missed any of the episodes in July, then this one is just for you. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Contando os dias pra morrer. Envelhecer contando os dias pra morrer. Ou viver. Envelhecer contando os dias pra morrer. Envelhecer contando os dias pra morrer. Ou escolha viver e aproveite seu tempo. Mude seu cotidiano pra mudar de emprego, pra ganhar um chamego, pra ir pro Rio de Janeiro dar um abraço no mano, pra comer quebra-queixo, pra tomar uma parada, brincar com a molecada, pra arrumar seu jardim e plantar com sabedoria. Tem que ser corajoso pra abraçar a felicidade. Faça a sua opção com tranquilidade, ouve seu coração. Mas cuidado com a armadilha pra janelas da visão. Será que o tal lugar é só um bom lugar, irmão? Vai no sentido da vida, faz o caminho a pé. Sente o calor da subida, sempre uma mão estendida. Você pode botar uma fé. Sai do deserto escaldante, onde falta calor humano, e busca o que parece incerto. Aquela sombra esquecida te revela o que é. O quê? Sorri quando acordar, levanta a cabeça, respira, pureza. Escolhi enfrentar com transpiração. Visualizam coisa bem, olhos sobre a mente, e a vez futuro sempre compreender. Em busca da verdade, pela lei, revelação. Viver o sonho, um dia amanhece bem. O foco é mudar, correr atrás do que convém. Primordial conhecimento se revela. Aí, a meta é transformar nossa favela. Porque cheguei pra tirar o sossego sem pesadelo. Vim pra zoar, pra atacar, se prepara. Sei que raga não dá, vai atacar. Fogo, mais fogo, uma faia. Aquece a mente, acredita na capacidade. Firma a corrente, quando a situação for grave. Seja presente, viva a a prosperidade. Sua presença é vida, sem algemas, liberdade. Abre os caminhos, visando um novo amanhecer. Por energia, a fé que faz acontecer, que contagia, alegria faz valer. Completa a base e canta todo dia pra viver. Todo dia, dia. Todo dia, dia. Viver.
Asfixia Social, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Cool, man. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's great to have you.
Cool, man. Yeah, great name. Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks. I'm glad you like it. So, very exciting times for you. You're just about to kick off your European tour.
Sure. It's tonight. So soon we get there, sound check, and then we start playing. It's the first of 20 shows. We're very happy to be in UK again. And then from here, we go to France, Netherlands, Germany, and then Scotland and back to UK.
It's a pretty comprehensive tour. Lots of dates, especially for a band from Brazil. You're taking on quite a lot coming over and playing 20 dates. How are you feeling about it? Are you looking forward to it? Do you feel ready for it?
It's our second time here. We've been here in 2019. Back then we had 15 concerts, but just 2 festivals, right? So now with the contacts that we made the first time here, some people liked us, and then they invited us to other festivals, a few other ones, and we got a little bit more prepared this time. We just released a few things in English, and we want to spread our music around here too. It's a nice way to. We know that Europe and UK, like you love music, right? And your summer is just like a thing that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. So the summer here is very special, and we feel it. We love it. And the last time that we were here was amazing, and this time it's probably going to be even more.
Brilliant. The tour is called Planet is Alive. Can you tell us about the concept behind the tour?
Yeah, the idea is that like the human beings destroying the world, right? We're fucking it up, let's say, and unfortunately, people don't. Nowadays, people live by themselves, like they don't get too collective, right? And the idea is to call attention that we're destroying our home, right? It's something very stupid, actually, but we're doing it, and we got to a point which is the limit, right? So the planet is alive and it's going to react to all our actions, right? We're not going to get out of this. we're inside the home that we're destroying, right? So we're not going to get out of this alive if we keep doing what we're doing. So we're on the limit. Or we change our actions, or we're going to destroy ourselves at the end. So the planet is alive. It's a call to that, right? We have the power, of course, to make the change, the small changes and the big changes. So it's up to us to call on that all the time. The band is working on that, on the idea that if we make this place a better place, it's good for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully people actually start to stand up and take notice and start to make a change, to make it better for us so that we can actually last longer.
Yeah, it's a bit smarter than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Now you mentioned that you've recorded a couple of tracks in English. It's your first time doing that. First of all, how did the idea come about? It was obviously to spread your music to a wider audience, was it?
Well, the band started like when we used to sing in Portuguese, but we always mixed other languages too. Like we always mix a bit of Spanish, a bit of English inside of it. The band is a mix, right? It's a rock band, but we play like different instruments, like inside this normal formation, like trumpet, trombone. We have like this Brazilian groove. We play rock, hip hop, ska, and we try to put like all the Brazilian roots and the worldwide music inside what we do, like with no much limits to the music, right? So we believe in this mix, like we're all mixed, right? You probably have like your family origins throughout the world, so
yeah.
So do we, right? Like, so we believe that music's the same thing. We're not limited to do one genre of music. And on the language that we speak, we always try to mix. And now that we came here to Europe, like in 2019, we really felt like that the music touched people, and we needed to get better understood. So that's why we try to to get some more lyrics in English and so on. We're working on that. But we still sing in Portuguese, we still sing in Spanish, and if we can sing in another languages, still we have no limits to that. As I said, like we have different roots here, like a very diverse mix of immigrations that came to Brazil, like from our like let's say ancestors, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the band is a mix of all that. So we try to translate it into music.
As brown as your eyes, but they say it never settles quite right. Our love's been a flying wind we can never disguise. I still wouldn't trade a million times for the heat of those nights. Just take it easy, baby, just wasn't our time.
Mansman, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks so much for having me. Cool show. Heard a lot about it.
Thanks. So we opened the show with your latest release, Take It Easy. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah. So Take It Easy is our newest release. It came out on June 20th. We shot it. We shot the video for it about an hour north of where we live in upstate New York, in the mountains of Whitehall, New York. And the song is about. It's got a lot of a lot of layers to it. When I originally wrote the song, it was about my failed marriage of 7 years. But then the meaning of the song kind of changed a lot the more that we played it, and the more things that happened to our band, throughout the past year. It kind of became one of those songs that just to all of us meant, just in general, just saying goodbye to a lot of things in our lives, saying goodbye to, loved ones, saying goodbye to lovers, friends, ex-bandmates, all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's currently out there streaming right now. It's on Spotify and Apple Music and pretty much all the streaming platforms that people are using these days. And yeah, it's the first release that we've put out in over a year. So when we launched it, it was about almost a year to the date of our last single. So,
jeez, and how has the reception been? Are people really soaking it up?
Yeah, it's been doing better for us than anything that we have released prior. Now, we've been a band since 2014, and we've got five records out there. And we've gotten, throughout the years, we've gotten a couple of pretty lucrative deals with sync licensing and things like that. But nothing's taken off for us as quickly as Take It Easy has. Within just a couple of days of it being out there, the response was unbelievable. And now we're the song is making its way to major rock radio. That's a first for us. So it's almost one of those things where it's becoming a success that was unexpected. A lot of bands have stories like that where they put something out without having high hopes for it, and for us, it's just a pleasant surprise. So we're just riding the wave.
I tend to notice things like that in life, though. If you think it's going to do brilliantly, it won't, and it's always the thing that you're like, okay, it'll do okay. That's the one that'll take off and people will absolutely love.
Always, yeah. That's always the big thing in rock music history, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You always have those bands that talk about how, like, oh, this song wasn't going to make the album cut. I'm glad we put it on because that song ended up selling 80 million records. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I mean we're happy. We're very happy about it. It's nice to see us kind of living out there in the digital world and people noticing. I mean we've been putting out records for a long time, and we play a lot. So this has been one of those songs where even before we recorded it, we had been playing it live for a couple of months, and it became like the showstopper for us. It was the song that, when we're playing in cities and clubs where nobody's ever heard of our band, if we are reduced to background music at some point as like an opening band, it's that song that has always made the room stop and listen and find out more about us. I actually got so many messages in my inbox recently of people saying like, hey, like, when I heard you play this song last year, I really loved it. And I tried finding it, but I couldn't. So I had assumed it was brand new. So yeah, that's the feedback that we've been getting on this. So it's nice.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm not a bit surprised though. It's a great song. It's up there with some of the greatest ballads from the 80s, I think, but there's kind of I don't know how you did it. It's like an 80s ballad, but with a modern sort of feel to it, if you get me.
Yeah, it's kind of, kind of got that new wave glam rock feel to it. We've been really into introducing 80s elements into our music for the past 3 years now. We never dove into it as hard as we're diving into it now with the new material that we've been recording. But this one definitely takes the cake for hitting all the markers.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd love to give the listeners a sense of your history. Would there be a seminal moment in your life you could point to that made you want to be a musician?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I was an Army brat. My father was an American soldier stationed in Germany. It's where he met my mom. You know, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. We were always moving around a lot. And my brother Mike, he when he came of age, you know, he was about to move out of the house, and he gave me his tape collection. And they were all mixtapes for the most part, except for one. You know, it was a Stone Temple Pilots mixtape that he had given me, and I was only about 11 years old, maybe. And that's all I did was I listened to these tapes over and over and over. And I discovered so much cool music. I mean, like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Garbage, Elastica, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I just really became so enamored by this. And you know, it took up all of my time. You know, it influenced everything that I did. You know, I couldn't wait to, you know, when we finally moved to the States, and I went to high school and all that stuff, I just couldn't wait to finish school and not go to college because I wanted to pursue being a musician.
Yeah.
You know, all of my friends went on to have pretty successful careers in whatever fields that they chose to study in. But I was the guy that, you know, as soon as I got out of high school, I went on tour. So I learned, when I was 16, you know, I learned how to play, you know, the bass guitar, and I dabbled in guitar and keys and things like that. And, you know, and ever since I started playing my first couple of notes, I started writing music. You know, I never really got into the world of learning covers and doing bar gigs until I was in my, you know, 30s is when I started playing some covers in bars and things like that. But, you know, I never cared for it. As soon as I learned 4 notes on a guitar, I started writing my own songs.
Todd McCarty, it's absolutely fantastic to have you here at Concerts That Made Us.
Hey, Brian. Nice to meet you, man. I've been looking forward to this. Pumped up. Let's do it.
It's great to meet you too. Great to meet you. Now, we might as well jump straight into it. You've been a drummer, a taxi driver, a tour manager, promoter, record label general manager, and you were a vice president at Sony Music. First of all, why ain't I sitting in front of some like 70-year-old dude who's retired now? You know, you're pretty young to have achieved so much.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's the people that got in my taxi cab when I was like 22 or 23 said the same thing. They're like, "Aren't you a little young to be a taxi cab driver?" And I was just fresh out of school. And I guess I don't know. I started music early. Like I was already playing in punk rock bands and booking shows and a little bit of tours in high school, and I think and even as young as 15. So I got into it very young, and I was a record label general manager probably at age 26, and doing some meetings with 70-year-old guys in suits, and I was 26, and they were looking at me like, what the hell am I sitting across the table from a kid, but yeah. So I've always been young in the business.
You've definitely had a wild life so far anyway, but we'll start at the very beginning. Is there a seminal point in your early life that you can point to and say, that's what made me want to work in the music business?
Ooh, yeah. So I guess, yeah, at first it wasn't music business. I wanted to be a drummer. I was a musician first. So it was like parades, going to parades and hearing the drum lines and how powerful it was. It hit you in the chest. So I fell in love with music from that, and just had musical family, like lots of big brothers and sisters. I'm a youngest of 5. So lots of music in the house. I was, raised in the 80s. I'm 46 years old. But I think the business part happened when, like there was this band in Washington, D.C., my hometown, Washington, D.C. There's this band called Fugazi. And before that, they were in a band called Minor Threat. And they had a record label called Discord Records, still have a record label. And they were in my hometown signing artists and putting out vinyl records and CDs and stuff in the 80s. And doing it all themselves with no like major distribution or anything, just hand to hand at shows. They'd get them in the record stores. And I was like, oh, you don't need to be on Sony or Warner or Universal or BMG to be like a rock star, and they were packing rooms of 2,000, 3,000 people in big venues and selling hundreds of thousands of albums from their little, warehouse records, how it was actually a house in Washington, D.C. where the label was. So that made me want to do what they did. So I think Discord Records was the first moment I was like, I want to do the music business. And I was probably 12, 13 at the time.
Jeez. So they were actually doing what most bands are doing nowadays, but back in the 80s.
That's right.
Crazy to think
right.
of. Yeah. They were, if only other bands knew that was the way it was going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I pressed my first vinyl record my sophomore year of high school. So I don't know, I was probably 15, 16 years old. And I was working at a print shop actually, and we printed the jackets and just sent off for the vinyl records. But yeah, so I started young too. And that dream was right there. I didn't wait for anybody to sort of come to me. It was like, well, these guys did the music business right out of their house and did it really big and well, probably have sold a few million records from their little label. And if they could do it, then, us kids could do it too. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And what steps did you take then to becoming a drummer, forming your own band?
Yeah, that was just probably like finding the dude in elementary school or middle school that looked like the kid that might play guitar, and it happened to be this kid, Richard Work. Never forget him. He had long hair. He was the only kid in elementary school with long hair. He was a skateboarder, and he played guitar. I asked, he played guitar. So we started, and we're doing like Metallica covers and just like AC/DC covers, the easy stuff. And that was it. Like we just did those covers in my basement. And I think that was, we had a name. It was Anathema, which has now become a big metal band. But we were the first in 1982 or something. But yeah, and then it was just putting together garage bands. That's what it was. And but first booking shows in sophomore year of high school was probably when I started booking shows and calling radio stations and writing, getting the newspapers and local magazines to do write-ups on our shows and concert previews, and really learning the music business at a very young age.
Very DIY as well, it seems. Like most people would study in college for a couple of years to learn all that, but you as a teenager just took to it like a fish in water. You just start doing it yourself.
It was very DIY. And what's funny about that is from 15 to 22, I didn't learn much more. It was all like basic DIY promotion. And we were booking concerts ourselves and all this stuff. And we did it all ourselves and didn't really ever question how the majors or bigger labels did it. We were just like, well, this works. Why do it differently? But it wasn't until probably 3 years into my label career at Fearless Records, when we had a platinum record go number one, like a number one radio song in like 12, 13 countries by Plain White T's. The song was Hey There, Delilah. And to that point, our biggest hit was At the Drive-In, awesome rock band on the label. But that was like maybe 300,000, 400,000 records. I'm talking like number one in 14 countries with Plain White T's or something. So I had to learn the major label, big boy record business when that happened. And I was still running on DIY fumes up until that.
That must have been a really scary time. Something great is happening, but also you're being launched onto another level that you haven't done before.
Yes. No, I had to take a call from the then CEO of Warner Music to, deal with an issue with our song, a global issue that was really critical to it. And and I was 26, 27 and very green, talking to one of the most powerful guys in the business over something. So I'll never forget that.
Jeez. And back in them days, was it always in your mind, that you were going to become as powerful as him, or you were going to go that far in the music industry? Did you have a clear, concise plan laid out for yourself?
No, I didn't. I didn't have a clear, concise plan. And I didn't make it as far as the CEO of Warner. But, I made it to the senior vice president label at Sony Music. And I was the GM of the record label Fearless Records that I worked the longest for 13 years, and calling the shots. And that was to me the highest because, I was running a record label and we had platinum selling artists on it and we were competing with the majors in some terms. So that was good, but I didn't have a plan. It was a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work and elbow grease and getting in the trenches and fighting for our artists. And that was it. It was always like, who are the artists on the label that need our attention right at this moment, so we could kind of seize the moment, seize that momentum and that energy. And it was always just like head down, looking at that. There wasn't a lot of planning. Towards the end of my term at Fearless, we had sold the company to new owners, and I gave that a shot, but I was looking to do something different. And that was when I was like, I've been doing the DIY and independent record label thing for 15, 16 years now. I wonder what it's like to work at a major. I was always curious. So luckily I didn't seek them out. Actually, it just happened that somebody from Sony recruited me at that time when I was thinking about that. And I took the call, and I'm glad I took the call, and it was a good experience working for Sony. And they offered me that senior vice president role. Was awesome. And I worked for their rock group, which was Century Media, which was the metal label, Inside Out, which was the prog progressive rock label. And I looked after their newer alternative label too, that did like Lovely the Band and the Unlikely Candidates and some really cool Iron Tom, some really cool rock alternative bands. Lovely the Band's another one, ended up, multi platinum, probably 10, 15 countries #1 as well.
We like to destroy, we like to create, make a lot of problems, then fix our mistakes. We take everything just to throw it away. We must rotate, destroy and create. This is what I know. This is what I know. So it all comes crashing down on us, and everything we love is reduced to dust. We'll get back up and we'll do it again and again and again. This is life. If we could go back to the start, if we could choose a different path, we wouldn't change a thing. We want control. We believe in fate. Simplicity can be a complex maze. Keep me safe. Stay out of my way. We must rotate. Destroy and create. This is what I know. This is what I know. I know. So when it all comes crashing down on us, and everything we love is reduced to dust, we'll get back up and we'll do it again and again and again. This is life. If we could go back to the start, if we could choose a different path, we wouldn't change a thing. And it all comes round and round, again and again and again. It's what I know, it's what I feel, it's what I know, it's what I feel, it's what I know, it's what I feel, it's what's real to me, to me, to me, to me.
J Bones, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
It's great to be here.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant to have you. I'm delighted to have the legendary FUZIGISH on the podcast.
Well, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, legendary. I think in South Africa, and hopefully, and hopefully spreading around. Yeah.
Exactly. That's that never seems to stop being the goal of a band, no matter how well known they are. They always want to spread further, don't they?
Yeah, and you're hoping. I mean, that people talk and the word of mouth gets out there, and slowly we find out that people that listen to us a lot, in South Africa, then moved on to other parts of the world and spread the word or the music.
That sounds, I have to say now, that sounds a little bit like, you're training some sort of private army. Here, listen to our music and disperse around the world. Spread it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like, the, as we'd call it, the skankers union, or, going out there and spreading the word. And I mean, word of mouth is the best. I'm very kind of suspicious of anything that's kind of, kind of advertised or marketed. So yeah, that's the way we just, in the music, there's subliminal messages that go out to everybody.
Yeah. Brilliant. So we opened the show with your song, This Is What I Know. It's off your latest release. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
Sure thing. So it's one of my favorite songs on the new album. Basically, I'm not sure, it's a little bit different for us, but I liked it just because of that. And it's got like a kind of a more of a hardcore feel in the beginning, and it kind of goes off into this very melodic, the melodic kind of build and bridge. I don't know, something about it that I like, the fact that because we've known as a kind of more ska punk band, it's a bit different in that sense, and the way that the guitar and the trombone, Big Willie on the trombone, kind of build the tension. I really like that. And the more I think I know, the less I know, but this is the real truth. But I think it's really about lyrically, like kind of the balance of your yin and your yang, or your light and shade, so to speak, and how they kind of work together. And a lot of the album, I think, is about that kind of stuff, about balance.
Yeah, it's a great track. I'd have to agree, it's one of my favorites off the track as well. It really is a good one. It's your first album since, I know you released a live album in 2020, but it's your first studio album since Crazy Friends in 2013. Why was the time right now? Why did you release it now?
Well, I'm trying to think about that now. We released a lot of albums early, like there were 2000s, a whole bunch of albums through early 2000s, and then after Crazy Friends, we were intended to carry on recording, but we had 5 albums, and when we were playing shows, like it was, the set list was pretty full, and there was no urgency to basically record. So it was always a case of, we're going to record, like we'll do another album next year, and this kind of carried on for a while. And then Rockwell, bass player, he got chatting to Warren, and they seemed to kind of connect, and suddenly there was this Warren was, he had the label Mongrel, and they were chatting, and suddenly there was a, hey, we can do an album with them. And there was that kind of, oh, this is great, this is almost like a direction, like, this is a reason, this is a good this. And then the whole COVID pandemic came down on us, and it was like, this is perfect timing, because now, instead of playing live, we can focus on recording, putting out an album. So it was really great. It was perfect timing from that point of view. And it was kind of like, we needed to put out something, because it had been, like 2013. So it was like, okay, this is time to do it. Yeah. I think to be honest, it was just amazing putting out the first album. I remember it was like, wow, this is like, to think of putting out now the 6th album. Wow, we're going to do this. We're going to, put out a 6th album. It's going to be great. Let's do this. And we've got the time to do it now. Yeah. And to see where we were, exactly how, what, it was a bit of a unknown, like what are we going to come up with?
Yeah, I get you.
Hopefully it resembles something of, but it did, and it does. But it also feels like we kind of progressed a bit with it.
Yeah, definitely. And what was the whole recording process? I know you mentioned you had plenty of time, so there was obviously no urgency or panic to rush into it. What was the recording process like for it?
Usually it would have been a case of kind of at least for the first 4 albums, I'd kind of come up with ideas and then kind of take it to the band, and you like thrash them out in the band room, and you kind of, it's quite grueling, and like you have patience is required, and you're all in there busy trying to at the same stage, and that was kind of, I guess, more like a traditional kind of way of writing the songs. So with this now, it was we couldn't really, we could obviously Zoom or Skype or whatever, but we couldn't hang out in a band room together initially. And for me, that was like, luckily I had set up a studio, a home studio that I can work with, that had all the necessary tools to be able to put the demos together in my own space and time, and then send them off to everybody, and they would give me honest feedback, because luckily we've been together long enough so that we can do that.
yeah
And and it was great for me, because I could just go for it, and not have those kind of in the band room busy like, can you do this, can you try this? And so it was like a very kind of, from that point of view, it was great. And I'd send out the stuff, and then we wrote like about 20 tracks, and everybody kind of gave their opinions on stuff, and said, no, this track that you said, no, this is for your solo album. Or this is for something. But generally it was like, I think everybody else, I was like very nervous about doing it like this. I was like, I want everybody to feel like they're don't want anybody to feel like, oh man, I wish I want to put some stuff or ideas down and I'm not getting heard. But everybody was like, oh no, this is great. Like, you go for it. So I would put down like, say, like trombone on like a key on the keys, but obviously I can't play trombone, and I don't know all the different techniques you can use. And I'd give that to Big Willie, our trombonist, and he would like come back with this kind of the main kind of theme, but he'd have added a whole bunch of other elements and idea, just made it much richer.
Yeah.
So it was great to send out this stuff and then to get stuff back with everybody like putting their expertise into it.
Yeah,
and it was really cool. And me and Willie would hang out a lot and go through that many sessions on Zoom, busy kind of going through this stuff, and then saying, hey, this is what we're thinking, and then the other guys would come back, and it worked out really well for us. I don't know if it's every band would enjoy it, but it was a great way for us to write. So when we got to the songs, and then we had a guy, Matthew Fink. He came in to record it and produce, and he was like the producer. And he came in early as well and listened to the demos and got an idea of where we were heading, So from that, it was really cool, like to have, because we do normally go to a studio and they'd like, there'd be like, not really, they just want to record great songs, but haven't been invested before, almost in pre-production. So this is, he was there listening to the stuff, getting some ideas, and when everybody was happy and we thought we had the 12 songs that we wanted, then we went to the studio. Yeah.
you that the truth is coming out. The truth is coming out. They wash away the doubt. They want to tag us, create an epidemic, and they know our whereabouts. Cause we might just fall off the edge of the earth. We might just fall off the edge of the earth. And then who would do the dirty, dirty, dirty work for this illusion that we live? And the facts keep getting in the way of the truth I'm living here today. And the facts keep getting in the way of the truth I'm living here today. Believer, activate receiver. Believer, take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, take me to your dealer. The truth is coming out. 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 Activate the scene. The truth is coming out. Activate the scene. The truth is coming out. Activate the scene. The truth, the truth, the truth, the truth, the truth, the truth. And the facts keep getting in the way of the truth I'm living here today. And the facts keep getting in the way of the truth I'm living here today. Believer, activate receiver. Believer, take me to your leader. Believer, activate. Believer, the truth is coming out.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is DJ JC, and I'm one of the DJs over at Super Cool Radio. I host a 1-hour metal show called The Brutal Block. We have new episodes every Tuesday, dropping at noon. So if heavy metal music is something that you're into, then make your way over to The Brutal Block. Throw up the horns, and let's get rockin'!
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I for one surely did. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. Your 5-star review will be read out on the show. And don't forget, you can now rate us on Spotify. You can find and follow us on all social media at Concerts That Made Us Podcast. And don't forget to check out the website at www.concertsthatmadeus.com. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by signing up at patreon.com/Concerts That Made Us. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here.